few months ago, a movement called the Cockroach Janata Party would have sounded like a joke. Today, it is at the center of a national conversation. What began as a reaction to controversial remark by Chief Justice of India, Surya Kant, about unemployed youth has evolved into a broader expression of frustration over jobs, exams, and political representation. Led by Abhijeet Dipke, the movement recently brought hundreds of young people to Delhi's Jantar Mantar. But what exactly does it represent? A viral movement? A youth uprising? Or a deeper crisis of trust in India's political institutions and opposition parties? To discuss these questions, we are joined by Rasheed Kidwai, a journalist, author, columnist, and political observer. A keen observer of Indian politics for decades, his recent writings on the Cockroach Janata Party have raised important questions about Gen Z politics, democratic representation, and the future of political dissent in India. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Now, what exactly is the Cockroach Janata Party for you? Because it's so many things to so many people. Is it just a protest? Is it satire? Or is it politics for you right now? How do you interpret it?
So, as an observer of Indian politics and contemporary history, I find it very exciting. I find it very refreshing. I find it very welcoming. The name of it is, Cockroach Janata Party is actually little deceptive in the sense that it gives at one level a thing of being very non-serious, thing being very frivolous. But we must look at the background. The Chief Justice of India made a certain observation, which he retracted. But this is also, I always see that whatever you say that about India, the opposite is true. uh, is Mr. Narendra Modi a very popular leader? Yes. Are people unhappy? Yes. Is Indian opposition very vibrant? Yes. Is Indian opposition fulfilling the space of the opposition? No. So there's a lot of scope for experiment, and this is what I like. Just to tell you that if you look at the map of India, recent in May 2026, there was election in Bengal where the BJP won, Mr. Modi, and defeated a regional party, Mamta. In Assam, it was status quo with a renewed mandate for the BJP. But when we move to south, it's very interesting. And left got edged out by the UDF in Kerala, and the most interesting was Tamil Nadu. And that is where the youth actually spoke for Captain Vijay. So therefore, I'm saying democracy in India is very vibrant because people of all generation want to experiment, and the Cockroach Janata Party, whether they click or they fail, it's a reflection of people's faith in democracy and people's desire for some kind of experiment. कुछ नया होना चाहिए.
Or is it कि कुछ नया होना चाहिए या just tired of the status quo? Because the major political parties that we have in India have been here since generation, and there is a lot of family dynamics and a lot of older people are there. But when we saw Tamil Nadu, one of the major things was that Vijay does not have political experience. He does not understand governance, yet people voted for him. And a lot of it was put on social media as well, that his social media campaign was good and it worked for the youth. So is the youth just asking for a change, or are they tired of the present system altogether?
Yes, I think that's a very good question. I wish I had an answer, but let me guess. I think people, particularly the youth, are very unhappy. They have faith in democracy, as I keep saying, but they want something new. They want to experiment. And the organized political parties of all over India, whether they are NDA or they are India Alliance, they don't actually understand what's going on in the Gen Z, what we call it. See, let me give you an example. Till 2014, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who's a leader of opposition, who's very educated, who's very young and dynamic, unconventional, and of course he has his, he's a dynast also. Thought that social media, particularly Twitter, which we call it X, is a urban fad. So that is a level of comprehension. So people are not now, a lot of 50. I'm 50 plus. A lot of 50 plus people are moving to Insta and all. But earlier, instinctively, they are very dismissive about everything. Facebook was all right because that was like, Ghar Ki Kahani kind of thing. But anything that technology driven, a large section of Indians cutting across south, east, north, west, they were actually very allergic to change. Now, this allergy to change is actually costing because people want new and newer thing. And that is each election tells us a lot of things. And if political parties don't understand, then Cockroach Janata Party or similar experiments will become, will script the country's politics. We have seen Aam Aadmi Party, we saw that India against corruption, we saw Janata Party, we saw VP Singh, we saw so many experiments. I can go on as a political reporter. I can tell you, people are always want to, look for newer gods because the old gods are failing. So gods must reinvent themselves.
Also, when we talk about this reinvention and experiments, earlier when Cockroach Janata Party started as an online satirical movement, everybody was surprised by how easily it grew on social media and how so many followers just came in. And there was the skeptic that, okay, online is fine, but what about the on ground movement? And now they at least have started somewhere. The Jantar Mantar protest was largely peaceful. Nothing major was reported in this protest. On the social media, also they've said clearly, very announced it that until June 13th, if the education minister does not resign, we are going to continue the protest and will take it national level. As a political observer, do you think they have the capacity to take it to the national level and successfully take it to the national level and also get people together for this demand?
I think, Narendra Modi government is very smart. They could sense that there is disquiet, and they must have got this input from multiple agencies. It is not that they approve of Cockroach Janata Party, but they realize that any confrontation with them at this juncture would lead to more popularity of Cockroach Janata Party. Because I was in a TV program, so 9 out of 10, I would say children, because they were all youngsters under the age of 18 or so, they were 9 out of 10 people were demanding Mr. Dharmendra Pradhan's resignation
Yes.
as education minister, some kind of accountability. I always say, resignation doesn't mean admission of guilt. Resignation means, you say that, like you're saying, I'm sorry. And then that person, he is a competent person, he can work somewhere else in some different capacity. But this government doesn't want to set up precedents of buckling under any kind of public or popular pressure, because there's so many issues are there. So they think that's their wisdom. But they have this doctrine of thanda karke khao. So they didn't want a confrontation, so they allowed so that kind of pressure is off, and they live to fight another day. And one more thing, Shita, I want to tell you that we are very good at building these conspiracy theories. All the time, the Indian mind is very gossipy, I would say, having lived in other countries also. So we are always looking for conspiracy. This is, plan B of RSS BJP. This is George Soros, ecosystem. We are attributing a lot of motive. They may be true, but what I'm saying is, instinctively, as a citizen, as a concerned citizen, I would think that, okay, it's a good beginning. Let's see what happens. But many people like to look at, the conspiracy. The 9/11 in US was actually engineered by US. Okay, Israel and Iran are together. They're just doing this fight so that, ruin the world economy. We are very good at, please stay away from this conspiracy theories.
So you would say that the
Don't believe
current,
them.
yeah, like the current, a lot of times, even in media, we are seeing that a lot of it being reported as it's RSS BJP back, that because this protest has not seen confrontation from Delhi police, or the Delhi police actually stepped in and made sure that the protest was largely peaceful, which is surprising to a lot of people. And they've been saying this thing that it's the government is supporting this as well, Cockroach Janata Party, for its benefit. And some even called it that this is a pressure valve just to let the youth let out his anger, steam down, and then take the action. So you're saying that all this must not be believed and let the movement continue as it is?
No, I'm saying we must have a rational mind, scientific temper. You see, and to believe in what are these conspiracy theories? Conspiracy theories give us a very comfort zone. That this is what happened. It was like I said. 9/11 was a Jewish conspiracy. So there was nothing extraordinary happened on this. So therefore, this is what I'm saying. This is basically we are naysayers. We don't believe in reality. We have an ostrich-like approach. We don't recognize that there is the urban unrest, or Gen Z is expecting a lot more from us. When I say us, it means the policymakers, the government, and other institutions. And see, I would again compliment Mr. I'm a critic of Narendra Modi, but I would say, he says in anything social media, it has a multiplier effect. The whole world watches.
Yeah.
See, so somebody is coming from Boston is arrested, it bad news because it will be, in New York Times and Washington Post, they will all, display it. And let's not forget, we are a democracy, we have a right to protest. So under which ground, under which law, you see, Cockroach Janata Party would have been stopped? If they would done it, it would have been very foolish. I mean, politically naive. So therefore, I think the government has played its cards well. Now I want to see how this, the next stage comes because the opposition is staying away. Organized opposition political parties of India are staying away, and this also I find it very strange because normally anything against the government, the opposition and media, social media, whatever you want to call it, they all team up. This has been a history of our countries. I mean, post 1947, if you look at the political trend, there's always a very comfort zone between opposition and media, social media, everything. First time I'm seeing since 2014, the mainstream media and the government are on same side, and the opposition is always cribbing.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Whatever you say about India, opposite is true.
Also, but what does it say about the opposition right now in this moment? Because one, the Cockroach Janata Party has been very explicitly, they have been clear that they would not associate with any political party at this moment.
Yeah.
So, but and also the opposition, even the Congress have very vocally spoken about NEET and CBSE on-screen marking system. They have also spoken about this, but they are not getting this traction or attention, even from the youth for that matter. So, what does it say about the opposition in the country and their politics?
Well, I would say, and I have written an article also that opposition has very, reasons to be worried about because, a girl or a boy of 17, 18 age group till 25 of that age bracket, and there are millions and millions, we already talk about in crores of people who are not attracted to the opposition agenda of Akhilesh uh, and Rahul Gandhi and DK Shivkumar and Siddaramaiah and Satishan or whoever we name. This is something that should bother them because this was opposition's ground. See, you are right, opposition is protesting, but then it's a lot of lip service. There is no street demonstration. And when a street demonstration happens, it evaporates in a week's time, 10 days' time. There is no sustained effort. And therefore, and the youth don't come. I keep seeing, whenever there's this thing of petrol hike, petroleum prices always going up. There's a protest. People in the petrol pump say yes, but then nobody actually comes out and protest. So the BJP is very good at, as opposition. When they were in opposition, I saw them in Delhi. They were very effective. This, people are not very effective because they don't know how to protest. As I said, online things are, they think social media is a fad, urban fad, and it requires a lot of time and effort to mobilize youth, and they're not getting that mobilization. So I think opposition needs to get its maths right. Just to conclude on this point, see, Rahul Gandhi is 1970 born. He's 55, relatively younger. And 55 looks very old actually, but he looks younger, and his body language, the way he speaks, and all kind of the hobbies he has, he should have been a youth icon of this country. He has traction in Tamil Nadu. He has traction in Kerala. He has some traction in I would say Karnataka also. But outside these states, he has no traction. And that, so they need to move away from politics and look for social issues, public causes, and use social media platforms and social media influencers to basically highlight. And once you get that your social media right, that means you are getting 60% of people on board. But Rahul and opposition is more concerned about 40% people who are not, who are above the age of 30, 40 or whatever, and who are dismissive of social media.
So it sounds like they're not using the platforms in the right way at the right time for that matter. And it happened to be that Cockroach Janata Party could use that leverage because it started online for that matter. But also, does this movement show that our politics and systems are failing youth, or they're not rather listening to them? Because in this, if we talk to the youth, a lot of times it's the assumption that they are apolitical, majority of them. And initially, even Abhijeet Dipke, the founder of CJP, he also pointed out that on his when he showed the analytics on his social media, that a lot of them are aged between 18 to 25, but the major crisis is education, employment, and having a financial resource to grow in their life. But that's something that does not become the major thing when we talk about voting or elections. It comes in here and there, but that's not the entire conversation. So, what does it say about our politics in the country, especially in regards to the youth?
Yeah, so I think we must look at it that politics is very complex, how elections are
Hmm?
fought, how governments are formed, how even decisions are taken. So many Indians, I feel very bad about it, but many of them don't have a much idea about the complexities what goes on in Kartavya Bhavan or in the PMO or in Shastri Bhavan, all those fancy government buildings which decide about the. You see, we say that we are very technology driven country and we are doing very well. The whole world recognizes our IT potential, and we cannot hold election or examination of 22 lakh, which is just about 2.2 million people. How is it so? It's bizarre. So the success of Cockroach Janata Party and Abhijeet is to make complex things look simple. Look, this is what is not happening, and they are successful. But then when they get into complexities, then they get into trouble. So if you look at globally, civil societies are doing a lot, and they're leading to a lot of unrest, except for the, I would say, Nepal experiment and some other countries. You see, the civil society movement have not been very effective because a, they don't have the caste affiliation, they don't have the religious kind of backing, so they are spontaneous. Okay, and every whole world is not Tamil Nadu, I would say.
Yeah.
So these are actually big shortcomings. In Tamil Nadu, people reacted as per their, instincts. They
Yeah.
realized that the two, the Dravidian parties are not doing it, two national parties are, so let's look for something new. If you move to Kerala, which has very good, film actors and all, but the film actors are just film actors.
Yeah.
Or in for the but in Karnataka also.
Hmm.
So every, state has its own flavor. I think, this is a big warning sign written in red, bold letters. It is for political parties to get their act together because Cockroach Janata Party may or may not succeed, but then someone else will come in. We
Right.
have seen, as I said, how Aam Aadmi Party came and captured the, not only government in Delhi but in Punjab. It's just that they fretted it away because they lack that kind of, three-dimensional depth.
Right.
uh, and politics, I can that's not a subject matter. Some other podcast I'll tell you how money matters. So
Yeah.
ultimately everything boils down to money, and when they come in the field on the ground, then Cockroach Janata Party will face a lot of challenges, but I wish them well because I find instinctively they're well-meaning people.
Yes. Also, is there a risk of romanticizing youth anger without examining its political depth? Like how you said, right now the anger is very specific because of the failures in the education space, majorly the paper leaks and how the marking system is. And it's like at the right time, right thing happened where there's a lot of anger because of this. But are we just romanticizing their anger rather than understanding the politics of the space?
I think you see it depends which way you are looking at it. Here we are like looking at it from a perhaps from a youth's point of view. That the youth is having this thing utopian idea that somebody will come from US and sort out all our problems at all. This is not going to happen. So there's a lot of structural problems are there. But there's also as a person who has seen politics from at least 1970s till date, is actually who do you target? So there is no, we have a nation, India, but India there is Bharat, there is urban India. So you can, and the urban India's aspirations and expectations and sensitivity and sensibilities are very different from rural India. Just as North is very different from South and East is very different from West. This is not to offer an excuse, but I'm saying that political parties and party like Cockroach Janata Party needs to make a beginning, get a foothold, and then expand.
Hmm.
You look at again Aam Aadmi Party, urban party, Delhi centric wins. Then they win Punjab, which is largely rural.
Yeah.
It's an agrarian economy, and they did well.
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm saying let's not be dismissive. If a Cockroach Janata Party has come, then that means they need to, reinvent themselves. They need to, as I said, society is dynamic, politics is dynamic. They need to come up that what. Abhi to they have come up with the, B.R. Ambedkar's this thing
Yes.
photograph and all those. So that is tells you that they are want to is a rule of law. Then Dalits, then Ambedkar was not just a Dalit icon; he's a our icon, he's a national icon. So I think I was very attentively looking at them. So the first step has been fairly good. So I would give them 6 or 7 out of 10. Now what happens? How do they do it?
Yeah.
That is something because there's a lot of hard work. Then nothing comes free.
So there seems to be clarity in their ideology, their politics, at least at this level, that whom they follow. And I think Abhijeet Dipke has been very openly saying that uh, he's inspired by Jawaharlal Nehru, Mahatma Gandhi, and obviously Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So do you think that clarity is going to help them hold this in the
Yeah,
larger
I
picture?
think you have asked a very interesting question, but you see, the answer is not that simple. So the moment you take name of an icon, then it comes with a label. So the moment you say Jawaharlal Nehru, people would link it to the Congress. I
Yeah.
agree the spirit in which you are saying. The moment you say Mahatma Gandhi, that is something anti-BJP. You know that Godse Savarkar versus Gandhi ji.
Yes.
Then so everything. When you say again about that I said B.R. Ambedkar, again you see is Dalit politics. So these are the optics, and people make remember there are a lot of troll armies, organized spin doctors, and from all sides they're waiting to manipulate this kind of agenda of a political
And
party.
they
So
did get
basically,
that.
it's
Like
like a
BJP had
yeah,
its own share of online problems. Their social X account was blocked. Their website was trying to be hacked. So they did get,
precisely,
until now also, they had their fair share
precisely, and
of.
we don't know, and you see, and we don't know who's doing what.
Yeah.
Okay, so therefore it's a very complicated situation, but it's like I know it's not a this thing, but appropriate forum. But I'll tell you a Urdu couplet which some your viewers may find some this thing. तो गिरते हैं शहसवारी मैदान जंग में. You see, it's only the battle hardy who would this thing. वो तफ्ल, I mean the kid वो तफ्ल क्या चले जो घुटनों के बल चले. So you need to stand and figure out what's happening around you. Politics, I keep saying, is a very difficult, very challenging profession, very thankless profession also. So anybody who comes in, comes in with kind of lot of scrutiny. I have written a book called Bollywood Star Power in Indian Politics. So the film actors who come in, particularly North, when they came, so they thought it's a real life extension into real life. But they when they confronted whether Amitabh Bachchan, Dilip Kumar, Jaya Bachchan, Mithun Chakrabarti, Hema Malini, a lot of them, but many of them fell wayside because of this thing, because there is a very a grave and very I would say minute scrutiny that takes place. So the as I said, Cockroach Janata Party is a good experiment, but how what they do next, how do they pick up issues and all. I'm seeing some Muslim clergy is being telling they are issuing appeal on their own. It's a funny country that don't join Cockroach Janata Party because your houses will get bulldozed. You know what Yogi Adityanath does to some of the antisocial elements and all. So there is so many narratives. Why I'm mentioning because your viewers may not be knowing this aspect that the Muslim youth has been asked to stay away from it.
And also, do you believe that they will be able to sustain this longer? Is it going to be just a youth movement regarding one education aspect, where if they get resignation from the education minister, or is it the wider civic protest altogether in the country? Because right now we do see that they don't have that sort of money. Like Abhijeet Dipke has also been saying that he does not have this sort of money to pull this off. And even the spokesperson that were recently assigned, they all seem to be educated and having some sort of knowledge about where they are coming from, what they want in terms of their education background. But will they be able to sustain this if they want to go national, or how long will they be able to take it forward without
So yes,
money and the
yeah.
political backing that they're refusing?
So yes and no, because it's how they are able to build their narrative. They cannot be a single issue because in India it's very unfortunate, but it's very complex country, and people forget what happened in Delhi rape, what happened. So that the rape victim, rape survivors in Uttar Pradesh, could not become a political voice. But if you look at Bengal, that that KG Khar, that rape, very unfortunate, very gruesome thing, it became a kind of led to the debacle of Mamata Banerjee. So it's always there. All kind of examples can be given from this country, but and also about money power. You see, let's not forget a chai wala narrative. Made Mr. Narendra Modi Prime Minister and the most popular person. So it is how you build it up. So therefore, and Rahul Gandhi is struggling, and many of these political parties, whether MK Stalin or all the family-oriented political parties, are struggling a bit at this point of time because they have a tag of dynasty.
Yeah.
So a lot of things Rahul Gandhi says, sounds good, but people say, oh look, who is saying it? Is Rahul Gandhi saying it? So these are all very, as I keep saying, nothing is simple in India. Nothing is simple in India. And this Abhijit and his team and people should know they don't have money, they can do crowdsourcing. There are a lot of options are there. As I said, a chai wala narrative becomes your your USP. So it depends how they're able to build it up. But one thing the Indian voter or Indian masses need, just one simple thing, a sincerity. How Gandhiji started. I don't want to give a lecture because everyone knows how Gandhiji started. Gandhiji's only USP was he was very sincere. And people understood there was no social media, there was no even electronic media. But people, so there is a silent communication that takes place between citizens, voters, whatever you want to call it, and the leader. And that led to the victory of Vijay also. So this is some people thought yes, Vijay is a fine man. So this is something I think, I mean, there's unsolicited advice, but the moment, and Arvind Kejriwal also had it, he, as I said, he
Yeah.
threw it away, he's struggling to come up with it. And this is something Abhijit and his team needs to be this thing, or they cannot have iconic people. Remember, many big people from Aam Aadmi Party, very big politicians lost with very simple people. Somebody was a, mechanic, somebody was a mason, and they defeated, chief ministers and central ministers and senior ministers. So this has been a history and legacy of our political system. So understanding is very much required.
So there is an opportunity, but it comes with caution and it comes with how they
Precisely.
play their cards.
Precisely. So social media, spin, manipulation, all these things have a limit. End of the day, it is, and it's not because I have, gray or white here. I'm just saying, see, the core values matter. Truth, honesty, integrity, there is no substitute. Otherwise, the world would not have survived.
Right. And in this case, it does seem more sincere because Abhijit was just like anybody else. He was nobody until the social media picked it up, and he was looking for a job, and he seemed like he even mentioned that his family did not want him to come here, which brings me to my next question: that where is the place for satire in this country? Because after the social media hype of the Cockroach Janata Party, we do notice that Abhijit was there was a lot of caste slurs on him on and off the media, I guess, and there was a direct threat to the family. His number was leaked online, and he had to move his family to a safe home. And when he even came here, there was, and in the protest also, they very openly said that if even Sonam Wangchuk said that if he's arrested, Sonam Wangchuk would go on fast until 6 weeks. What does it say about satire in this country and how we are viewing protest in general?
Yeah. So disclaimer first, as I said, nothing is simple in India. Whatever we say, the opposite is true. But it's also open fact that at a societal level, we are big hypocrites. We have double standards. At times, we are very racist. We are very communal. I mean, I'm not sparing a particular, community or particular region. We tend to be this. For a North Indian, everybody is from, Northeast, say Chinky. Everybody from South is, Madrasi. All kind of stereotypes are there, and I think we lack humor and wit in private, even are in our drawing rooms and in our village panchayats and our societies and clubs. It's there. But when it comes, so this touch me not. I have seen how satirists, stand-up comedians have suffered in last 10 years, 15 years or so, and it's a very, I would say, very sad and a very telling commentary on our democratic credentials. We don't have ability to laugh at ourselves. Can you imagine? So this is very unfortunate, and this is not something that can be wished away, because we have a system. We inherited a system of administration from British Raj, which was very, I would say, coercive, which believed in dominance. It's like my bab culture, and that police lathi. I mean, they may not be using lathi now, but it's a whole thing. And I've covered, as a journalist, I've covered a lot of street protest. The way it's very brutal, the way a lathi charge is done, the way the tear gas shells
Yes, yeah.
are dropped. I mean, it's like you won't even do it in a war. So it's terrible. And how I've seen, the blind getting, beaten up by the police. I mean, it's so sad. So this is what happens. I think we have very little sense of justice. We can say that our this thing goes back to our Shastriya and all that, and the Niti and Nyay and all are very integral part of us. That's also true. But we have very rough justice system. We have kangaroo courts. All kind of things are happening in our society and need to reform. Yes, but it's not happening, because I said we as Indians, we are very allergic to change. I'm sorry, I've used some very harsh words, but sometimes we need to look inwards, and this is how it is. So I think nothing going to change. Cockroach Janata Party or any other political party or any youth movement or any this, they will have to live with it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your insights and for telling us about your views on the Cockroach Janata Party and the larger systems in the country. Thank you.